Hallo, guten Tag und willkommen bei Das Week I'm Learning. Ich bin Brandon Vader, deine Moderator. And now I'll stop talking German. This is the podcast where the hosts are lit.
Where's my language channel button? Sawadee-ka!
I need subtitles. Mine is vocabulary is minna. My vocabulary is small.
This is the podcast where the hosts are lit, the topics are lightly researched, and the rants are inevitable. Joining me today, of course, we have the Peanut Gallery. Charlie Stifler to my that way?
I think... Really? I'm next.
Okay. Also known as Mjolnir. Down below me is Seeker.
I remembered it. I am the king of podcasting.
Okay, well, over that way is Seeker 4761. I would say the amount of phones that I'm
that sounds
getting.
Right. Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. Yeah, anyway, and then down below me, Cody Stratman, Psychonitrous.
Ahoy.
Wait, you would be...
No.
Cody's to you.
You're pointing every way but the right way.
Are you an LSO now? Wave off.
Sawadee-ka.
Guten Tag.
Hola.
All right. Well, so this week, we're going to make it a little short. You'll understand why after Cody's topic, where he drones on.
Terrible.
It'd be hard to...
Not about anything, he just drones on. It's okay.
Oh, that needs a shot. Okay.
And then Colton will say that we all should take an arrow to the knee in the Andaman Sea.
Yeah, poetry, bitches.
I wonder...
Cheap Skyrim reference. Cheap.
I actually wonder what the... I have a feeling I know what this might be about-ish. And
I'm sure you do.
I'm curious.
Mr. Learning about Southeast Asia, you better know about it.
Is it an island that guarded, has a synonym for guardian?
Incorrect. Well... I don't know. I don't know.
Language,
honestly, but we'll find
language
out.
Is a barrier.
Yeah.
Again, lightly researched.
And Brandon is going to tell us about whatever the hell Project Natick is, which I'm guessing is a reference to underwater clouds per the notes.
I know this one. I'm so excited to hear more about it. Anyway, yeah, it sounds cool.
I have no idea, so I am also.
I love it.
Tickled pink.
Yep, it's gonna be cool.
Probably should change the hue and turn pink. So I could, never mind. Never mind. Screw you guys. I'm funny.
Never know.
All right, Cody. Well, I guess drone on.
It's in. It's all in. I have it all, kind of. So my drone is complete, and it is over there on the table because apparently I didn't prepare props for this. But also. The important part is my goggles are in. The Orca FPV-1. Yeah! Which also have their own battery, which is why I technically don't really have all of it in, and will be kind of an interesting topic. And got my remote, the battery for the remote, my little clippy thing, so I can wear my lanyard on it, which means... Yep.
Full nerd.
Yep, I know. I mean, who doesn't say that, I don't look sexy like this?
I say that. I say you don't look sexy like that.
For any of our audio listeners, Cody just put on said goggles and he looked...
He cranked the nerdiness to an 11.
Okay, so in the military, they would call those birth control goggles. Because ain't no one gonna be having a baby out with those on.
Virginity protected.
But see, at least when he takes those off, he still has his normal vision.
Yeah.
Gotta
love the Hubble Space Telescope I'm not wearing.
Oh God, Cody is the only one without glasses. Damn it.
Damn you and your good
Actually-
vision.
Technically, I kind of should because I've
Yeah,
got
no.
20/30.
Oh.
So
You bastard.
Oh, 2030. How do you survive?
it's it
I
gets
can't see you.
mildly blurry far away.
Yeah,
anyway,
when I take mine off. Anyways.
Slight detour for a 1 second. As some of our podcast listeners will definitely be able to hear, and maybe our YouTubers in the background. Yes, I have a 6-week-old daughter who is very irritated right now. My wife, who is a saint, for letting me do podcasts with you guys and take care of the child for another hour that I'm normally home. You're going to hear her crying intermittently. I promise. She's fine. She's just cranky. She's a redhead. Redheads. I think Colton
Got
might
a
know about
problem with red
redheads.
hair?
It's very true.
Captain
Yes,
Redbeard
Brandon,
over
you are notorious for like constantly crying in the background.
So isn't it talk like a pirate today? Today? Or is that the
Garpeter.
19th?
Is it? No.
Anyway,
It can't be.
look.
I am infuriated with you people. I said Gar Peter, and again, after teaching you, no one said Gar Steve.
You have to make
I-
it. It's just a
You're
more-
fired. All of you.
Well,
It's
I'll
the
send you your
19th.
last check.
It's the 19th. It's okay. We
Okay.
have a few days.
Yeah. So, I mean, next week, the podcast will feature Mjolnir and only Mjolnir. And
Okay.
since
Hostile
we're all
takeover.
fired.
I'll
Yeah.
drink to that.
But anyway, so you guys had some questions on it. Dracanis was wondering how deep I am into the drone itself, which is incidentally the least expensive of the 3 main components that I have for it, which is about $250 to $300. So far with my flying, I have had $1 in repairs because I have damaged a prop. And I got cheap props because I know that I'm going to suck at flying, so might as well have that. Here's the thing, though. You can get, well, not these, but you can get a headset for as low as $100. And then there's lots of little incidental costs that you don't think of. Like, then you need an antenna to go onto this. As you can see, that this has spots for 2 antennas, so you need 2 antennas.
On the goggles.
Yep, that screw onto the goggles, which are only like $6 to $12 a piece, but it's little things that add up. Battery packs. Then, of course, if you're like me, you bought the goggles, you got an extra battery pack, and you realized that you don't have a charger for the battery packs for the goggles. So, luckily, my charger will charge everything, but I need a connector that will go from barrel adapter to XT60 connector, which is what all of my batteries connect to. That is on order and should be here Saturday or Monday, depending on when USPS wants to grace me with presents. But that's an extra $3. The remote, you can get, again, not this one, but another one you can get for as low as $60. So, I mean, you could be into this hobby as low as, like, well, if you really wanted to do it the cheapest possible, you can get what's called a tiny whoop, which is like you can fly it around your house, FPV, for, I think it's $200 for the whole shebang. Not for flying outside. You can on a really, really, really calm day, but you're not going to fly far. But it might be a good, entry point into the market if you're unsure about it, if you're unsure whether you want to take the depth. For me, what I did...
Does that come with goggles, or is it
Yep.
like one of the ones that you tie into your smartphone and...
Comes with goggles. So, comes with goggles. They're, they're cheap. But it's something where you can see. So, it's better than getting a toy RC helicopter. It's better than getting a toy. I mean, these are all toys, but basically better than it's still a hobbyist level equipment, the low end of the hobbyist, rather than just a Walmart plastic thing. So it can get you there. What I did was I went cheap on my drone components, not super cheap, because there's some components where I spent a little bit more money on. Anything that had to do with video transmission, I pretty much got almost the best that I could with. So these are $650. This module.
What brand of goggles are they again?
Orca. ORQA. So, yeah, $650, $150 for this little module here. And then I've got another module on this side that allows it to transmit Wi-Fi to my phone. So I could stream this on Twitch if I wanted to. I need to update the firmware of my goggles, so that will work. And that's an extra $80. And then the two antennas, which are $12 or something. It comes with a fancy case, too, which is kind of cool. Nice. Then the remote is... this one is about $150 for this remote. I've got a module that will go into this bay eventually when I get my solder wick that I'm waiting on too, because I need to desolder my current receiver that's on my drone and put the new one on, and the new one will so I've got the module which is called a TBS Crossfire, which will do 900 megahertz rather than the built-in one that's 2.4 gigahertz. So it's got super long range, but I might wait until I hit what's called my failsafe, which basically means the transmission between you and the drone gets so poor that the drone can't take any new signals. Before I switch that off, just to see what the limitation of that is, and then switch it to the Crossfire module.
What happens when you hit your failsafe?
So,
does it GPS and circle back around, or?
No.
That would be a Mavic.
Yeah,
would do that.
That would be a Mavic. So this is the difference between your Chevy Nova, is what I have, versus a very modern Toyota Camry. You know, the Chevy Nova is...
I would go with the Tesla with the autopilot summon vehicle kind of thing, but yeah.
Yeah, the Chevy Nova is going to beat it off the line every single time, no matter what, whatever. But the Camry has the features like the heated leather seats and stuff. I can technically add a GPS to my drone. I have a module that's actually coming. And with the OS that I'm using on the drone, which is called Betaflight, it's got some rudimentary GPS functionality in it, but it's not going to land in front of you. It's going to, hit this point, turn around, and then, go to a certain altitude, fly, and then it's basically going to drop by you. So don't be there when that happens. I guess.
Or very ginger fingers.
Yeah. Hopefully it stops the props before it drops. It doesn't just lower the throttle if it's going to do that.
Well, or would you be able to send an interrupt once it gets back into signal from your...
I don't know.
Your controller? Okay.
I don't
So what
have
does
that.
your drone currently do?
My drone...
If it goes to that failsafe, it can't.
So what I have set it to
data.
do is to basically emulate that the throttle is right here, which means it will slowly go.
So it's not no power. It's just less power than the vehicle has weight. So it will net decline.
And actually, the more I think about it, the more I think I should actually do a no power. But the reason for that is, so the way that I have it, if I'm flying in a grassy area, it's actually going to be bad. Because if it's out of range of the remote, I won't be able to disarm it. Which means that it will no power or low power drop, hit the grass, and the motors will keep spinning in the grass and burn out.
Yes, but if you do a no power... from an altitude of 150 feet, that's a complete wash. You're building a new drone.
No, I'm not. Not in Alaska grass.
You're lucky, but that's if you're over grass versus trees, river, whatever.
If you're over a river, it doesn't matter. It's
Well, it does because
So can't you?
if you're
you'll salvage
fast
the
enough,
frame. Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
seen that video. I've seen that video where the guy, the drone's at low power mode and is just slowly doing this, and he's running out into the water, swimming, and then catches it, and it lived. I've seen that video.
Okay, that's
So I guess the question I have for that is, does it have to be like no power or low power? Can you have it set up like a 5-second burn where
I
it'll
don't
do
know.
that
I have
instead of?
that's a good question, and I have a feeling that the custom I can't say
Customability.
Words.
Yeah,
Words.
will allow you to do that because everything else has been crazy customizable on this. Just you can configure whatever button you want on this pretty much to do whatever you want. You guys saw the footage through the goggles. Like, I can add and I can position each of those elements in the goggles to be wherever. So if I want the battery to be in the center, or if I want it to be on the side, I can choose that. If I want it to be whether I'm in, acro mode versus level flight mode, I can switch that around on the goggles. So that kind of stuff is surprisingly customizable. Even the software, the flight controller OS, Betaflight actually has a command line interface too, if you want to do more advanced stuff with it. So it's as in depth as you want to get. But to kind of go back to the cost argument, it's you can say like the drone's only $300, but after you start adding batteries, then a charger, then all this other stuff, you really have to put a spreadsheet together, and you have to talk to somebody who's bought all of this stuff to really get a picture of it, because I find myself doing like extra orders for like an extra $20 or an extra $50 here and there in order to get everything that I really want and need.
But I mean, the cool thing is, like, when I was curious about that, and when I was like, "Ooh, send me a build list,"
I could do that.
I was interested in that because, that $250, $300 for the actual drone, like, that's what you're going to. That's basically the money that you're putting out there every time you fly it.
Yeah,
As opposed to
plus the GoPro.
Yeah, that headset is
Yeah, you're not going to crash the headset.
GoPro, if it's a modern model, you send it back to GoPro and they send you a new one.
If you can find it.
If you wreck it, well, yeah.
If you can find it.
Yeah, there's a lot of jokes, and I've seen footage of people that are like, well, my drone's gone, and sometimes it's people that didn't set fail-safes, that they were at full throttle when they ran out of signal, and it went
wild blue yonder.
Yeah, it's like, well, that's gone for 3 to 5 minutes.
Rocket Man,
and
burning up the speed of atmosphere.
Yeah.
So what you need to do is build some sort of module that can like release a parachute or some sort of very brightly colored light or something.
Right.
Not light.
Well,
beeping.
Full cut of power.
Beeping and
deploy
blinking.
Like a Expo model rocket parachute. It'd be perfect.
So I'm glad you mentioned beeping. So I actually have a beeper module on mine that every time I disconnect the battery, it starts out, because I thought it wasn't working correctly, because it starts out going beep, 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 and then after about 2 minutes, I can edit it, but it goes beep, beep, and then there's a really
great content.
Yeah, there's a really big, a bright LED. Oh, sorry, that flashes like it's an extremely bright LED that flashes after that. So,
Ooh,
and it's got its own built-in battery in that beeper unit.
Instead of a parachute, you need to get like something that releases a little stream of smoke, very bright smoke. So when you hit the
because
sail,
that'll go
when you
over
hit the
well in the forests of Alaska.
smoke, not fire. That's a common misconception.
Yeah,
No, you just
smoke.
Like this is a little smoke, not bomb. It's fine.
Steve,
We're
hit
going to
you
have
hit
a
the
gender
fail.
reveal via drone that just causes a forest fire in Alaska.
you know what?
hit
Why
the-
not
you
just detonate the lipo? You know, if it gets too far, it just detonates the battery. That'll
Picture of the dinosaurs. Asteroid or meteor hitting from behind. It's a boy. Battery goes kablooey.
Jeez.
Y'all
It'd be
just don't have the
fantastic.
imagination. You're
Oh, we've got plenty of it. We just restrict it to things that make sense.
Really? You do?
smoke, not. Oh my god. There are things that just could be like, I don't know.
Okay. Well,
Invent
so
it,
that
is what I'm
we
saying.
can get Cody out because he wants to fly today while the weather's good. Let's cut him off from droning on so he can go drone on. Colton, tell us about why we should take an arrow to the knee and Adaman C.
Well, hopefully one day we'll be able to travel again. Within a year, theoretically, Cody. I don't know.
Vaccine,
Conservatively.
and yellow card and stuff. Maybe. Who knows?
A year from now, not.
I mean, technically,
I'm
there's
positive.
the Phuket model, which Thailand may or may not institute if you have a job where you can work fully remotely. Yeah, sure, you can do that.
I tend to move towards the positive on that.
Me too. Oh, Cambodia,
well-
you can go there.
I'm sure you could probably go to a lot of places that
Yemen.
probably have
Afghanistan.
less restrictive things.
Botswana.
Yeah, you're fine.
I didn't see that on IATA. Mine are all
Made it up.
real.
Anyways, if we are able to travel again, we should all consider to go to the Andaman Islands. They're known for incredibly beautiful beaches, super relatively low cost vacations. However, there is actually one island in those Andaman Islands that you should never, ever, ever go to. This island is known as the North Sentinel Island.
Mhm.
Yay! Everyone
I've
knows
heard
it.
about this.
Thousands of arrows in the bottom of a Cessna.
Yeah.
God, they are great shots, aren't they?
They're
Well, I mean,
they're fascinating people, which I'm gonna get to. So
we too could be fascinating excellent shots if we didn't work on other things for a long time too.
it's true. Well, the North Sentinel Island is located in the Andaman Sea, near Myanmar and Thailand, and it is, I believe, officially owned by India. But in addition to its official name, it is unofficially known as the hardest place to visit in the world, as well as the world's most dangerous island. So, really good, advertising for the island there. For I don't know, who knows?
Their tourism ministry needs some work.
Yeah,
That-
they
all
need,
that makes
need
me
a little
wanna
bit
do-
of social media work.
Is finish playing The Forest with you two. That's all it does.
We do need to finish that game, and I need to stream it.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
However, this is not due to any natural events that this is considered the most dangerous island. No real volcanoes, earthquakes, poisonous animals, or plants. It's actually due to the natives on the island, which are also known as the Sentinelese people. Been roughly on that island for 60,000 years or so. That's when they kind of guess that's when they moved to the island. Genetically, they've found to be descended from people based in Indonesia, but because isolating ancient human DNA is kind of a crapshoot, especially when you can't actually physically interact with these people, scientists have also thought they came from India, which kind of makes sense, China, and even in one study I found, which was really surprising, Japan, of all places. So,
I actually have a little bit
yay, scientists.
input on this. So I'm kind of surprised about the 60,000 year marker because a lot of the people in that area, the Malays, originally came from China and then Taiwan. And then Taiwan kind of split off. Some went north to Japan and encountered Japanese, and then some came south, Philippines, and then Indonesia, Malaysia. So I wonder, there's a good chance that they're part of that group. And that was, I want to say around 2000 BC that happened.
Right. Yeah, they don't really know because one of the issues is you can't really study these people for reasons we'll get into.
No written history. Yeah.
No written history. Plus, they kill you on sight, so
Yeah,
it
the
makes
small
it hard to
dying
study.
Side effect, whatever.
Exactly. So the first
We
recorded
just need
discovery.
to send Cody's drone on.
You know,
I'd be buying a
there
new
are
drone.
stories you'd be. They're pretty accurate. So the first recorded discovery of the North Sentinel Island by Western civilization occurred in the late 1700s, with the first official contact occurring in the late 1800s, when members of the East India Company actually made contact, ended up in a skirmish because colonialism, and they ended up actually taking 6 natives back to England, elderly couple as well as 4 children. So great. The man and the woman died on the trip back because it's a ancient civilization that has no modern immunities. And the 4 children made it to England, but they actually ended up getting very, very sick with, again, the modern diseases. So, being the great company that the East India Company was, they decided to do the right thing and send the children back to North Sentinel Island with many gifts as reparations for essentially kidnapping them. By the way, these children were like deathly sick at this point, so they didn't get better. It passed for a humanitarian effort back then, so still bad. So obviously you kind of guess what happens. Population was decimated by whatever disease it was. Again, lightly researched. There were estimates roughly a couple thousand to 3,000 inhabitants of this tribe on an island which is about the size of Manhattan, to less than about 100 today. So yeah, they're still fighting, but they're definitely a dying breed.
Leave it to the white guy to fix it.
Yay. So as a result of this incident and other similar circumstances, the Sentinelese are viciously hostile to outsiders. It's one of the reasons that that particular island was never actually colonized. There are many stories of people washing up on the beach of this island and having to defend themselves with a hail of arrows, just constantly shooting arrows. They don't even try to talk. It's kill on sight. Probably not the worst policy to have, honestly, if you think about it. Any attempts at contact were met with quick and decisive force by the native people. It was also so dangerous that India actually made the island a no-go zone for everyone, including fishermen, missionaries, scientists. Just, nope, we're not even going to, don't want to deal with it. So it remained this way for roughly 100 years. And there's actually a couple of incidents where people, there was a documentary group, a group that was trying to make a documentary. Jesus Christ. Documentary. Words. I'm tired.
English. Second language, right?
Jeez
yeah,
Louise.
German. First language.
They were trying to make a documentary on the Sentinelese people, and they tried to, with permission by the Indian government, they went to the island. They got like within 100 feet of the shore. Hail of arrows. One of their people got shot in. Wasn't the knee, unfortunately. It would have made the joke better, but it got shot in the thigh.
I'm sorry, you did get shot the knee.
Here, let's just position that.
So
obviously they put a kibosh on that really quick.
And that guy is
again,
no longer
pretty
an
much,
adventurer.
Exactly.
He's going to be stuck being a
Press F
town
to
guard
pay.
forever.
Press F to pay respects. So again, it stayed that way for roughly about 100 years from first contact until about 1991, when the first quote-unquote friendly contact was made, as in not trying to kill on sight contact, which is a big deal. It was made between Westerners and the Sentinelese. What's interesting about this took over 10 years of building trust between the scientists that were trying to make contact and obviously the Sentinelese people. So that just shows you how fearful of Western civilization and really all outsiders these people really are. And after checking to see that everyone was healthy, the population was relatively stable, India basically decided to shut it off again and basically put a 3-mile, was it quarantine? Is that the word? Barricade? Whatever. Basically no vessels could come within 3 miles of the island. So it's, no-go zone again. And that's pretty much where we are. Blockade. That's the word. And they enforce it with the Navy, so they're serious about it. So that's pretty much where we're at today. There has been some news since then. After the earthquake and tsunami in 2004, a helicopter was flown over the island to check and to see if there was any survivors, because apparently the island actually was raised a couple meters or something like that. Enough so like the coral of the island actually became visible. So it's pretty relatively devastating to the island. And of course, the helicopter was shot at by arrows, so they're doing great. They're fine.
They've gone on to helicopter hunting.
Yeah, they're like, nope, that thing in the sky is bad. It needs to be shot. Get away from me. Even recently, in the big story in 2018, there was an American who traveled to the island on an illegal missionary trip to spread the word of Jesus, who was found later with his throat slit and arrows in him too. So obviously the Sentinelese do not want to deal with us, and they just want to be left alone. And hopefully, after 200 years of arrows being shot at outsiders, maybe we'll finally get the hint. So,
But don't worry, Jesus will protect them.
Jesus.
Yeah, there's more to the fishing boat thing. There were 2 fishermen that fell asleep and then wound up washing us ashore, died by, I forget if they got their throat slit or arrows. And then a chopper tried to come to actually get their bodies and was unable to approach close enough to actually get their bodies.
Yeah, it's
even retrieval was out
yeah,
of the question.
It's pretty much impossible.
It's very interesting to me that an island that large, settled by that few people, that they can't even make landfall, and they're just immediately dead.
Kill on sight.
Like, what do they have? All have
anything-
like a 200-meter area that they've guard with arrows, and they say, "Oh, over here," and
No, they're like
Well,
the
or-
Jedi in Stargate Atlantis.
the Ori.
No, Jedi.
Oh, the Jedi. Okay.
The guys who looked primitive at first, but really had an underground bunker.
Yeah.
With sensors.
Well,
since it's an island in the middle of the sea, it's going to be pretty easy to hear, aircraft approaching or the engine of a fishing boat.
You have that, and these people have lived on the island for thousands of years. Even native people around in those Andaman Islands, because there are other tribes, know to stay away from this island. So it's not even just Westerners that these people are hostile to. They do not like any outsiders. So I wouldn't be surprised if they have guards at.
These people aren't cannibals, right? They're not cannibals.
We don't know, honestly. Because
It's a tropical island. There's probably a lot of fruit.
There's a lot of we don't know, because there's never been a really accurate census taken because you've never been allowed on the island. So we're using aerial photos, and again, these people lived here forever. They know where the hiding spots are. They know how to disappear into the land. We don't know really a whole lot about their history. A lot of what we kind of know is obviously from studying them from afar with telescopes and binoculars. And these people with the 1991 group, they gave them 4 gifts at one point. This is kind of an anecdote that they tell. They sent, I think it was cookware, a pig, a doll, and coconuts. And the natives there, they killed the pig and buried it. They destroyed the doll. They kept the cookware, and they kept the coconuts. So even objects, because I guess over time, because of ships washing up, they've actually adopted iron for their arrows. It used to be wooden arrows, and now they all use iron-tipped arrows. So my whole thing is, if you want to help these people, just send them a bunch of modern arrows and leave it at that. Let them live in peace. They're fine. They ain't hurt nothing.
FedEx them.
Yeah, just airdrop a bunch of arrows. So that's what I got. I learned a lot. It's still fascinating, even in the year 2020. There are people who are still considered uncontacted, really. and the fact that the internet knows about it and there's pictures and nope, nothing. So cool.
Right on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Brandon.
Tell us about these
Yep,
magical
yep.
under
Microsoft. Yeah. Under the sea.
Okay, so Microsoft deployed a data center. Huh?
Go ahead. Sorry. Well, you know what? I'm going to say this. I remember. Sorry, I cut you off again. But I remember last week at the end of the damn episode, you said I'm probably not going to get a goddamn duo.
He said probably.
Hey, we all should have known better.
Did I say probably, or did I say I wouldn't? Because
again, the number of
I thought I felt
phones
pretty strongly about it.
you have, or
We'll
in
have
your
to
name.
check it out one time.
Yeah. Okay. If you want to talk about the duo briefly, yeah.
Real quick.
Just real quick. I will have a full review out, middle of next week. Every review that you hear that says the hardware is amazing, like how it feels, the way the hinge opens and closes and flips around, and I mean it is a beautiful and amazing device, but it is very much an early adopter device at this point.
How do you fold it to talk on it?
You
Fold
flip
it
it
all
around
the way open.
and
Oh,
So
it does.
You
Split.
flip it all the way open, so
Yeah.
you're holding a screen,
Yeah,
and
but
your face is
when you're-
against a screen.
Okay, so
yeah.
it
So
turns
there's
the
a-
screen off, I assume, when you're on the phone, or when you're like that.
Yeah,
You're
it
ready.
uses a proximity sensor and
Okay.
it turns the back off when you have it flipped around. You just I mean,
Okay.
it's not even that
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Interesting. Yeah,
So-
I'm definitely looking forward to seeing your full review there, Brandon.
Yeah, I like it,
Techpirate.net.
but I am not keeping it. It is going back.
Ooh.
I got it from AT&T on my plan. They have a 2-week return policy. I genuinely thought that I was going to keep it. I adjusted my budget accordingly for the extra money this was going to cost, and I just don't have that passion or fire about it to want to keep it at this point. Now, when the second generation of it comes out, I will be the first person in line handing over how much ever they want for that second device.
You heard it here
I
first.
want the second device. This one is a good first attempt. And even though Microsoft is going to tell you that they had several revisions in-house and that this is their third or fourth revision, this is a first revision consumer device. Their internal do not count. It got to a very good point. You look at the reviews, for instance, for the first Galaxy Fold, I want to say one of the review sources gave it a 4 out of 10 initially for their first attempt. The Galaxy Fold 2 is now getting a 7 or 8 out of 10. The Surface from that same review source is getting a 7 out of 10 as it sits right now with the software and hardware and everything the way it is. It is an amazing first attempt, and I cannot say that enough. But I just don't have the time or effort or energy in my life right now to be doing bug reports, to be doing feature requests, and to be trying to create custom software for this device.
Okay.
So yeah,
Interesting. That's a
Yeah.
good quick review. Like I said, when you do your full review on the Tech Pirate,
Oh, yeah.
I'm definitely interested in reading that.
So, if you were to do a bug report, what server might it go or not go to?
it would not go to these ones because they just got pulled out. But Microsoft deployed a data center 117 feet down on the seafloor around Scotland's Orkney Islands back in the spring of 2018. The data center was manufactured by the Naval Group and its subsidiary Naval Energies. These companies are well known in the naval defense and marine renewable energy industries. Included in the 12.2 meter long and 2.8 meter around pressure vessel was 12 full racks containing 864 standard Microsoft data center servers with 27.6 petabytes of disk space. So basically that's the size of a 40-foot container that you'd normally see on a like flatbed truck or
Connex
on a
container.
shipping. Yep. Roughly that size, just pressure vessel. So the atmosphere was pumped out and replaced with dry nitrogen. This July, the vessel was actually finally removed and inspected. So almost 2 years, or I think actually right at 2 years from when they deployed it. During its stay on the seabed, the data center was used to perform COVID-19 research with the Folding at Home and World Community Grid. When compared to the land-based control group, the submerged data center was 8 times more reliable and experienced only an eighth of the failures found on the land-based control group. Although at this time, the Microsoft team is still analyzing the reason the submerged data center experienced less failures, their current hypothesis is that because there was no oxygen in there to corrode the materials, and there was a lack of people to bump and jostle components, the components were able to last longer. Yeah.
So
and the data center...
Isn't that the program where they wanted to test seawater for cooling as well? Or am I thinking
of a different
program?
No water was actually pumped through. It was a purely passive system. It basically just radiated off the metal container.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. What was the reason for doing this? Was it a cooling or just...
Yes. So they specifically did the Orkney Island location because the European Marine Energy Center is there. Which they are using prototype tidal turbines and wind energy conversion, or wave energy conversion, in addition to land-based solar and wind-generated power. So this data center, while it was crunching numbers and folding proteins, it was doing it 100% on renewable energy sources.
That's actually really cool.
Yeah. So Spencer Fowers, who's one of the main members of the technical staff for the Microsoft's Special Project Research Group, specifically said about the energy, we have been able to run really well on what most land-based data centers consider an unreliable grid. So a lot of the data centers here don't use green energy because they're worried about the reliability of it. So this kind of helps prove that green energy can be reliable. They're also talking about for potential production models actually deploying basically where was it?
Well, I can speak to the green energy. When we used to work at the internet company in Gunnison, we had a tower. It's actually several towers. Two of them one of them was on city power, and then one of them had the battery system on it, and it worked better when we switched it to basically prioritize the battery system over the city power because the city power was so unreliable. So I could see that with the right battery buffer. Anyway, what'd you find out?
Yeah, so what they want to do is they want to basically drop these self-contained data centers in with tidal turbine locations so that they can actually just fully commit to green data centers.
So this
I mean,
isn't.
there will still be land-based areas, but
So
they're
this isn't
talking
like a
being able to
PR
deploy these.
thing. This isn't a PR thing from Microsoft necessarily. I mean, it probably is partly, but they
Well,
actually
yeah.
want to make this a company goal over time.
Yeah. One of on the Microsoft website, one of their big headlines right underneath Project Natik is 50% of us live near the coast. Why doesn't our data? So by moving data centers offshore, you reduce your cooling costs. You can use solar and wind energy more efficiently because you don't have to worry about the landscape or topography. And you can also have shorter pings, lower ping times to these data centers if they are just a couple miles offshore. So, yeah, I
game.
thought
That's
it was
awesome.
interesting. So hopefully this will lead to a brighter, greener future for data center footprints.
Well, I think this is the second one they've brought back up. Didn't they do one in Louisiana as well? I swear I read that a couple of years back, and they brought that one up already. And that was like a true prototype.
I know this was phase 2. I think phase 1 was basically just the pressure vessel with a couple of sensors to see, because one of the things they were trying to mitigate is the bio, and of course I didn't write that down.
See what
the
I
impact
wonder,
on the environment.
I wonder what
No,
the actual
it was
cost
like-
is to build this versus build a traditional data center, and then of course that over time with energy usage, because it's all well and good if it's green, but if it's not economically viable, it's still for right now problematic.
Right. And they did say in the, what did they learn? Well, they learned that it's economically possible to manufacture these full-scale underwater data center modules. And they can actually deploy them in 90 days from an initial order.
That's
Wow.
pretty good.
That's significantly faster than a regular data center or a traditional one, obviously.
So, yeah, I mean, right now it is not a commercially available product because it's still in research phase.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see where this does go, because it does look like Microsoft kind of wants to pursue it. They're talking about, putting Azure out there on these and letting people play with it on the next test.
It'll be interesting to see a new episode of Deadliest Catch, which is going to be Data-liest Catch.
Oh no! Oh
dig
no!
up
We caught a data center. We better put it back.
God damn it.
I hate you and everyone that looks like you.
Oh my god, I love it. Well, that's super cool, actually. I didn't realize it was
Cool.
it was that far along in the technology in the research phase at that point. I didn't know that it was actually being utilized on a major scale, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was definitely still just a test, but they did end up basically giving almost all the resources there away to the Fold at Home and World Community Grid to try and help the COVID-19 situation. Oh, I found it. Okay, so phase 1, the prototype tackled cooling large-scale electronics and withstanding the effects of biofouling.
Okay.
That was the word I was looking for earlier.
That's the first time I've heard that
I mean,
word.
come on. That's like third grade vocabulary. Come on. Biofouling. Duh.
Biofouling.
Imbecile.
Does it mean like bioengineered chickens? Biofoul.
I think
Or like
it basically
or is
means
it like a
making
party
sure
foul?
that none of the creatures or things can
Stop,
affect
Cody. I don't have enough alcohol.
Did they?
Well, and with that disappointment,
I have one last question. Did they?
Okay.
Did they actually? Obviously, they monitored it, but did they have like any sort of like cameras in the?
it doesn't
I mean,
say.
I guess.
I mean, I would imagine that it would have, somebody would have snuck a webcam in there somewhere just to be like, what does it look like? What is it doing right now? And it wouldn't change. I mean, the blinky lights would.
Well, yeah, but you
Blinky,
can.
blinky.
There's
It'll
no
help
need
monitor.
for ambient light, so there's probably not a light source inside.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
but
you might have
in
LEDs,
terms of
yep.
if the idea is to monitor biofouling, God, that's a $2 word. It kind of makes sense to. I mean, what's running a freaking webcam that's only accessible to Microsoft 24/7 for 2 years?
Well, and I mean,
don't know.
the thing
Yeah,
might
but
be
it's inside.
And I think the
They may have
biofouling
had-
is actually more to do with the
Exterior.
tidal generation, not
I guess it
with
would
the
be on the
pressure
outside.
vessel.
yeah.
Well, yeah,
I don't know.
mean, I saw some of the pictures when they pulled this thing out. Like half of it was covered in barnacles and stuff, and because they had pressure washed the other half of it off. So I mean,
They actually said that most of that was just sea scum, and that
Oh,
there
really?
weren't any
Okay.
actual hard
Posits.
Hard barnacles.
crustaceans
yeah,
on
the
it. Yeah.
picture that I saw looked like it was. So I
Oh yeah.
misinterpreted that. Yeah, that's
No, I thought the same thing, and I was amazed when
that's what I
when
would
they
assume.
said that it was mostly just kind of sea slime, like nothing.
Yeah, that's what I would have assumed most of the biofouling would be, is that, or you have to be very careful about metals you use in the ocean and oxidizing. Like people who have boats have zincs on the boats, so the ocean doesn't eat their boat and instead, or eat the electronics on their
Eats
boat,
the
and instead
zincs.
eats the zincs instead. So
Yep.
yeah, it'd be interesting to know the composition of this device. The actual pressure vessel of it.
It says the steel pressure. So there's a bit about recycling. So when it's they said we're still reviewing the data, but here's what we already know. And it talks about reliability, community service, recycling. The steel pressure vessel, heat exchangers, servers, and all other components will be recycled. So I
Okay.
wonder if they just used a anti-fouling paint on
And
it.
I don't know if steel, because so there's some metals that are more susceptible to electrolysis. That's what it is.
Yeah.
To this or not, and I know aluminum is, but I don't know if steel is. So maybe I don't know. If you're an expert on metals in the ocean, we want to hear from you.
Comment below.
Yes. Well, I think unless anyone has any
Reasons to
interesting
make
factoids or
Milner drink.
You son of a bitch.
It's very rude to my mother. I mean, jeez.
Cody.
I
like
So-
your mom. Don't get me wrong.
She's
But I
she's a
still
nice
hate you and
lady.
everyone that looks like you.
So I may have something that can make him drink. So I'm doing a project for my boat to help keep the cover up. I have to make these sawhorses. Well, to find out, like, I know how tall I want the sawhorse, but I had to figure out the angle and then figure out how long I need to cut the leg. I never took trig in high school or college. I avoided math like the plague in both of those. So I only ever took geometry. So I taught myself today the SOHCAHTOA part of trigonometry. And when I told my coworker the mnemonic that I learned for SOHCAHTOA in this little YouTube video, they were very disappointed. And they're like, no, that's not the SOHCAHTOA. And they told me theirs. So what I learned was some old hippie caught another hippie tripping on acid. So ka toa.
Yeah, that's. I don't remember learning that in.
I mean,
in
it makes
college.
sense
Okay,
in so
memorable.
many ways.
I'm going to air my dirty laundry for a second. I failed almost every math class I took in high school, except for the last one I took. My guidance counselor looked at me and says, "You're going to fail whatever class we put you in. Do you want to have some fun while you're doing it?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's do it." She put me in AP Calc Trick 2, and I got a B.
Wow.
Nice.
Turns out I was
How?
just fucking bored. Apparently.
Is that dirty laundry or bragging?
It's dirty laundry because I
a
sucked
humble
at
brag.
all of the bullshit math. It turns out I actually think, like, having a degree in education now, that it's the worst teachers that get stuck teaching the remedial classes. And so, you know, the people that need the most help are actually getting the least.
Makes sense.
Yay, America.
I hated math until I started doing all of my programming classes and realized that as long as I understand how the equation works and I can write a quick script, I can force the computer to do the boring shit.
TI-89 graphing calculator for the win.
Absolutely.
Yeah, or Microsoft Visual Studio and C++.
Yep.
But with that, thanks for joining us on this episode of This Week I'm Learning. You joined us for episode number 15, which I forgot to say in the title. Today is September 17th of the year that will not fucking end, 2020. Fumph. Fumsen. Episode Fumsen.
Or quince in Spanish, because why? That all the other numbers in Spanish make sense, except for 15. Quince. Why quince?
To be fair,
Why
I'll
not?
say my little thing.
¿Por qué?
Tie is weird from 11 and 21, and to be fair, you know it's
Tie
true.
is just weird.
It's weird.
Poke. But actually, no, ye sip is weird. Like 20 should be song sip, but instead it's ye sip. Why again?
Svansig is 20.
Anyway,
Ryan Zwanzig.
this has been our
That's-
bilingual episode of this week.
Trilingual,
I'm learning.
quadringo.
Yeah.
I
I could always start
We're
speaking
plug-
French or Hebrew at you and then really screw it up.
Je
We
ne sais
probably
pas.
need to do our
Omelette du
pluggables.
fromage.
Pluggables.
Pluggables. Okay. You can find us wherever you're listening to your podcast, as well as on YouTube at This Week I'm Learning. For you social media peeps out there, you can find us on Twitter at This TWIL. If you'd like to contact us, you can send us an email to twil@thetechpirate.net. I am Brandon Vader. You can also find me at thetechpirate.net as one of the lead contributors and owner of that site. You can also find me on YouTube as The Tech Pirate, where you can catch my latest unboxing of the Surface Duo, which I said I wasn't going to get, and yet I
And
got.
you're not going to keep.
Yeah, but you
You
won't be a
Microsoft.
I am not
liar
gonna keep.
after all of this, and it's not yours anymore.
Yeah.
True.
Cody, where can we find you on the internet?
It's striving to fail, I'm pretty sure. Yep, Twitch, Psychonitrous, because I hate consistency, apparently. On Flyer Talk, I am Roman Geek. I'll just say random things that have no opinion or nothing. Yeah. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Anyway, somebody else!
Charlie, where can we find you?
You can find me streaming on Twitch every once in a while as Milnor, MIJOLNOIR. You can find me with these people. I'm just going to call you these people now. And
These
I
people.
also have my
Your
own YouTube
people.
channel, which I've uploaded exactly one video to, which will probably change at some point soon, but we'll see.
Ooh.
It was an
What did
auto
you
accident.
upload?
It was an auto accident that split a telephone pole like firewood, and like half of the pole was still there, and the other half was like a perfect quartered piece of wood on the ground. And it's from like 2007.
Nice. First video on YouTube.
Uploaded from the 8325 that we talked about last time.
Nice.
Colton?
I guess I'm
Colton?
left.
Colton?
You can. Oh, I'm here. I'm here. You can also.
Where can we find you?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm going to tell you. You can find me. I'm Colton.
Are you
going to
tell us?
I'm going to try. Eventually.
Wait, where? Huh?
You can find me on the yeah, that's right. You drink that. You can find me on the techpirate.net as a contributor as well. Not the primary contributor, as my colleague stated, but a secondary one who also matters. You can find me on Twitch,
Very
Facebook,
much so.
Twitter, and YouTube, all under the same tag, Seeker4761.
That's
And
also the number of pants we all collectively have.
No, it's the number of props Cody's going to go through between this episode and the next episode.
I would have said something clever about arrows, but that's just me.
The amount of arrows that have been shot.
The amount of arrows in my knees. Anyways.
Ouch.
The number of arrows in the bottom of that plane.
Ooh.
Oh.
It's true.
Poor plane.
Yeah.
It's not going to adventure any
Poor
longer.
Cessna. Slap some duct tape on it. It'll be good.
Well, I guess I hope everyone has a wonderful week. We shall see you next time.
See you guys next week.
Drone wave.
Drone. Maybe one of these days you're going to be prepared for the podcast there, Cody. I'm going to be proud of you.
You're not going to be
Just
proud
have
of me
your-
anytime
have your-
soon.
It won't happen.
You'd be
Nope,
like
absolutely
you'd be
not.
like Brandon and literally have like 65 props ready to go. Just boom, which one? We might talk about this. We might talk
Ooh,
about this.
that one? That one? Or are we going to talk about this? Or this? Or
God fucking damn it.
this, which is still on my desk from last week? Boom. Boom. Boom.
Well, we know where the outtake is coming from.